Sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it yet. Just go forward. So what do you need to do? How do you stand out? So what you need to do is be that person that's different and is bigger than you think. Rise from the ashes and fly like the phoenixes that you are.
Right. We're back on? Okay. Well, welcome everybody and hello. This is Andrew David. So I am still in my hotel. I asked for a late checkout so I'm up on the 11th floor. I asked for a late checkout so I could meet with you guys today and do it from here instead of down in the lobby. Appreciate the patience over the last couple of days. I didn't go live. I was sitting in a much anticipated mastermind over the last couple of days. It was Steve Sims' Speakeasy. If you're not familiar with who that is, he's the author of Bluefish. He is known as the modern day Wizard of Oz. He was on one of our high performance calls back at the end of July. So go back and watch his call. If you scroll back, he is a guy that looks, well, let's see. He looks like Mike. He looks like Curtis. He looks a handful of you guys. And gentlemen, you would have fit in so well during this conference. So they only allowed 40 attendees total. There were about 65, 70 people that applied to come. He doesn't just take your money and say you can come. There's about 65, 70 people that applied. He only allowed 40 of us to be here. So I was very grateful to be a part of that 40. I think I was one of the maybe top first 3 people that signed up. As soon as he announced it, I clicked on that link and jumped in. I think, before we had him on the high performance call, I think the steaks and the bourbon that I sent him may have helped make the decision that it was okay for me to come. But super grateful to be here. So I was here for the last couple of days. The way he runs his events, just as a quick reminder for some of you guys that did hear and others that haven't. So it was 2.5 days. Meetings would start at 8:00. We'd finish at 5. And then obviously after hours networking was a big part of what this event is. But the way he does it is he puts up on the website for a lot of you guys that want to know every single thing about every single thing that you're purchasing and doing and everything else. I love the way he does this. He set it up. He said, it's going to be in Austin. Here's the dates. Here's the link to pay me. And that's it. It's in Austin. Here's the dates. Here's the link to pay me. And you don't get anything else. You don't get what the topics are going to be. You don't get who's going to be there. You didn't even get the hotel until about a month after having announced the event and having it filled up. And he doesn't hold it, everybody stayed in this hotel that I'm in. I'm in the Kimpton in Austin. Everyone stayed here, but the event itself wasn't held here. It was held off-site at a cool little spot. And so we'd walk over there in the morning. And then, so we had speakers throughout the day, and some of the speakers were members and some of them were people that he invited. You had all industries. We had a NASCAR driver that was here. There was a gentleman that's in his 30s that runs the #1 Google marketing agency on the planet as far as revenue goes. He's the #1 guy. The #1 conference, traffic and conversions conference that they have in the marketing world every single year is called TrafficCon, and he's the guy that MCs all 3 days for the Google section of that conference. He runs it. He gets to pick the speakers. He gets to pick the panel. So he was here. We had a kid who's 24 years old, who's been on YouTube since he was 12. When he hit 15, he was making $5,000 to $6,000 monthly from his YouTube channel. His parents were still making sure that he went to high school. They didn't really buy into the fact that YouTube was anything until after his first year of college, when during the summer, a company in Silicon Valley asked him to come out and run their marketing for them and hire the interns. And his parents said, so where is it you're interning again, honey, this summer? He said, no, Mom, you don't understand. They're hiring me. I'm hiring the interns to work for me. And that was when they kind of flipped that switch. And now his name is Alaric, and you may have seen him on YouTube at some point. He's a young dude with glasses, but he's 24 years old, but he's out there crushing. Alex Sharfin, who's someone that we've talked about, was there. We had people in, real estate, people that were internet marketers and branding experts. One of the guys that helped brand and create the brand behind ClickFunnels. We had a number of other just amazing individuals. We had hotel owners. We had people that run one of the biggest clubs rooms on Clubhouse, all sorts of different people. So it was a fantastic event, and I learned some amazing things. So I want to share a couple of things that I learned. But before I do that, guys, I've got a few people that I've lined up. So over the course of the next little bit, I am going to have someone come on and talk about Facebook marketing, working inside of groups, content, etc. Phil, I can't get away from Alaric's messages. That just means his targeting is on point. So yeah, I got to meet the kid. He's a good guy. I'll share my pictures that I've got with him. So I've got someone that's going to come on and talk about marketing. I have someone that's going to come on that it has some facilities where they specialize in neurohacking, mapping out the brain, seeing what's going on with your brain, what's going on, and how you think and the way that you react and what happens from a physical standpoint there. So her talk was super interesting to me based on a lot of the stuff that we've talked about. So I've asked her to come on. I have a gentleman that runs Facebook. He is prolific in the amount of posting that he does on Facebook. I asked him if he's got a team that posts because he posts so frequently. He said, no, he does it himself. But he's going to be coming on. He runs, it's all social media, but he also does some events and kind of breakthrough stuff and personal development. And he runs those strictly from Facebook. He holds multiple 6-figure events a year, just invites people to come in and mastermind. So just to get an idea how he thinks and what he does and how he builds his marketing, and then what kind of stuff he teaches at his events. And then who else? Oh, I've got a gentleman that helps you understand and build better relationships based on what a person's face looks like and their micro expressions, and how to interact with your loved ones and your coworkers and everything else, and how to learn about people from their pictures on social media before you connect with them at all. And it may help you create some relationships if you're looking to do some joint ventures. So I thought it was a really cool topic. So then I've got some others. Now, the purpose of these calls, guys, is to help you. It's to build you. And so, okay, alternatives to Facebook marketing, alternatives to Facebook ads. Okay. So I'm going to have someone that comes on and talks about different ways to market on Facebook or the way that they approach it. I have invited Alaric on to talk about YouTube, and he said he'd be willing to come on, not just about running YouTube ads, but how to create a real simple video that you can use anywhere that will connect and then drive that call to action. So he has said he would come on, and he's responsible, just as a side note, for well over 9 figures in income being generated with his videos and everything. So, what else, ladies and gentlemen, what kind of topics would you like? What kind of things would you like to see, hear, or learn over the course of the next few months?
Well, I sent you an email, Andrew, with a question that I just shot to you and then left it as maybe it'd be a good topic. So that I
responded. I don't know if you saw it. I responded in your Skype. I think it's.
Oh, through Skype you responded?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I think it's a great topic. Just talking about, and for everybody else, talking about motivation when you get to a point where you're comfortable. Motivation when things are struggling and you're trying. So there's different levels and there's different types of motivation. So it's absolutely a topic. I'm just going to touch on it here, but we'll get more in depth with it. And I have someone that I think would be great to bring on there to talk about that. So it's, there's things that you do when you're lacking motivation at all because life is hard. And there's things that need to happen when you are doing well, or you're doing okay, or you've kind of reached what we've lived our whole life. You get to a point, you've worked for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, you're close to retirement, or you are retired and you're paying bills okay and things are all right. So why do I need to do more? And, even though you should, but hey, why do I need to? So there's something else to push there. So that's absolutely something I'll touch on. I'm thinking Friday, I've got someone that I want to bring on with me, but it will be addressed real soon. Absolutely.
Yeah. Or how do you re-spark that whole thing? Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Cool. Okay. So let me pull this. Yeah. Let me pull the chat back up. Mindset. Yep. Erica, mindset, something we go over consistently.
And there's different aspects of the mindset. So what kind of thing do you think right there might be important for you? So how to work effectively in Facebook groups. I do have someone that's going to do that. Already talked to him. As a matter of fact, it's Henry Sims, Steve's son, who helps handle a lot of their social media work. And I think it's going to be a fun perspective because he gets to work with a lot of people that are starting out from scratch. They have a small digital agency that they work with, but it's kind of all encompassing. So let's see. How about what kind of appearances, podcasts, or different ways to network for people at our level? Very good. So they had on someone talking about getting on podcasts, about starting a podcast, and obviously with these videos, I'm on kind of doing stuff every single day, but it kind of kicked me in the ass to get a podcast going myself. And so I am going to talk about some of the strategies that they shared there. I am going to start one myself. And so if some of you guys have some topics that you'd like to be on that, then I'll let you know. I'm already in the process of renting a space to be able to do that. So I'm not at home. It's going to be a little bit different. But yeah, and then how to get some guests or then appear on others' shows as well. Drake, that's a great question. That's something that we'll do. So developing a strong mindset, resilience. So resilience through obstacles. Got it. Another topic would be multiple lead generation strategies, such as networking, referrals, speaking. Krista, can you do me a favor? Can you write down, or just let me take some screenshots, guys, because I'm here, but I want to get some of these to make sure that I've got them. Okay. Focus and goal setting, speaking, books, networking. Okay. So they did talk a little bit about writing books. They did talk a little bit about podcasts. We talked about that. We're going to talk about networking. And that's part of one of the reasons I want to bring on this gentleman that helps look at people and use that to build relationships, because we're going to use that as part of, hey, we're going to build some relationships. This is how you start to introduce yourself. This is how you talk to people. I'll share with you guys some of the things that I've been doing. I've got Ned Holloway, who's the author of several books on adult ADHD. I've got him to agree that he's going to be coming on. We're just setting up the date for that. So what other topics do you guys think you might want to hear? Anybody? I want you to think about it seriously. And really any kind of topic. So marketing, advertising, groups, social media, mindset, overcoming depression, struggles in relationships, biohacking, podcasts, working something like this while you've got another job, how to do multiple things effectively, as opposed to getting overwhelmed and not being able to do anything. We'll talk about motivation even once you've reached a level of success. But guys, do me a favor. I want you to think about something that you want to learn. Building yourself as an authority figure. So, all right. Yeah. Apparently everybody wants to talk about podcasts. So we'll end up talking about that for sure. Not photogenic. What is an alternative to cosmetic surgery? Honestly, the biggest alternative to something like that, you're worried about how you look, is stop worrying about how you look. Just do it anyway. Don't overthink it. Don't worry about what other people are judging. I promise you. One of the big things that we were talking about, guys, is sometimes we worry too much about the number of likes. So depending on the platform, you may have, Curtis, absolutely, love yourself, accept yourself, and then love yourself. When we post and maybe you're not getting as much engagement as you want, and there's all of these little tips and tricks to build engagement. But the key is to remember that, you don't need hundreds of thousands in order to do this and be successful with it. You don't need that in your life. What you need is to understand that for every one like, you have somewhere between 10 and 70 people that engaged with that anyway, right? You've got people that saw it. I don't get, 50 messages back every single time we have 50 to 100 people on one of these calls, or if I've got 20, or if I've got, however many. It all depends on how people want to engage after the fact. But I know people are listening. And it's the same on YouTube. It's the same on Facebook. It's the same on Instagram. Just because you don't get a bunch of likes, or you think, oh, somebody thinks this, or hey, post it anyway. Just do it. Just get it out there. So, Aurora, did you put up business finance?
Is that what I saw? So I'll have somebody on here. Okay. We'll have someone come on and talk about business, finance, and credit and things like that. Okay. I want to share a couple of things. And, over the course of the next couple of weeks, there's going to be certain elements that I share, and I will credit the person that gave the training when I do. But man, there's so much to unpack. One of the things that we were talking with some people, because this is my first Speak Easy More books. Is that what that said? Well, I've got some for you for sure. More books we can read. You got it. ROAs, where to get the most bang for your buck. Organic on Facebook and YouTube. That's where you get the most bang for your buck, or Instagram, or LinkedIn. It depends on where your niche is and where your audience is. So anyway, whenever you go to an event like this, and guys, we're moving into a world where events are opening back up. Whether or not you feel you are safe or not is totally up to you. If you feel like you're okay and you want to get to an event right now, I mean, even if it's a local community one, I recommend doing it. Getting out of your comfort zone. Don't try to, don't say to yourself, well, I just haven't done it before. I don't know if I want to do that. I don't know if this is the best one for my first one. There was a lady here who had never been to any kind of seminar, event, anything. This was the first one that she came to. It was thousands of dollars that she put down for it. She shows up, and not only that, but she was chosen as someone to be able to go up on stage and speak. Never done anything like this in her life. Nearly in tears the entire time she's on stage because of nerves and social anxiety. And she did it anyway. And she did it in front of a room of entrepreneurs that were successful in their own right. Some of these people, 7, 8, and 9-figure earners. And here she is up on stage, the very first seminar she's ever been at, shaking in her boots, getting through 10 minutes of presentation. Get out of your freaking comfort zone. Do something you haven't done. Quit trying to make it easy. Let's do that. There's easy ways to do things. The easy way is going to get you easy results. And if you want to do something exceptional, and let's be honest, every single one of you wants something exceptional in your life. You don't do this so that you can, make an extra $200. If you want to make an extra $200 or an extra $500 a month, then go work at Walmart, for crying out loud, and be a greeter at the door. I don't have anything wrong with that. Look, I spent more than a decade doing cleaning and restoration, cleaning toilets, cleaning more bathrooms than you guys have ever seen in your life, right? More floor space and, crawling through ducts and ceilings and tearing out dirty walls and doing all sorts of other shit. I've done that. I don't have any problem with it. There's no problem with working hard, but you didn't do this and spend the time and money. And now some of you guys have been coming to these calls for months. You didn't do it to, change things a little bit. So quit trying to change your habits a little bit to expect something large. Now, I talk about this. What I'm talking about, there's easy, and I talk about making it ELF. I've talked about this is something from Joe Polish, make it easy, lucrative, and fun. Use systems, but when I say hard, I don't mean make it difficult for you. I mean, push yourself into areas of discomfort. Be comfortable being uncomfortable. If you don't learn to do that, then you'll never get where you're looking to go. Now, one of the basic things that I want to talk about today, and maybe at some point we get more in depth with it, but there was a gentleman named Jesse Elder that was there speaking. He was the last speaker. Jesse Elder is a coach. He is a coach of coaches. He's one interesting dude. He is an interesting cat. He talked a bit about all sorts of things, but the key element he wanted to talk about was a Venn diagram. And that's the right words, right? The 3 circles interlocking, a Venn diagram. Everybody knows what that is. So he talked about authenticity, power, and clarity. And yes, he said authenticity at a Steve Sims event. And so for some of you guys that were there, I brought up authenticity when Steve was on the call, and he kind of shook his head and he said, I hate that word. I want to talk about transparency. So anyway, Jesse was talking about authenticity, clarity, and power. Now, here's the thing about this. If you want to achieve unexpected results or something exceptional, then unexpected and exceptional work has to go into it. Effort, systems, leverage, etc. But there is this authenticity, this power, and clarity. And you need to fulfill each one of these three circles. And so right there in the middle is where, those results lie. Now, the authenticity, let's look at that. This is where you become the you that you want yourself to be. You become the you that you want you to be, if that makes sense. Not the one that, you think you've got to portray something on social media, or you think you've got friends or relatives that want to see something. Who do you want to be? And then be that. And that's it, really. Because if you're in power, if you're taking a bunch of action and you're clear on what you want, but you're inauthentic, you're not going to connect, you're not going to do anything. And you can't you can't have true clarity without knowing who you are and where you are and who you want to be, right? You can't do what you need to do. So what you need to do is be authentic. Next is that power. Because if you're authentic and you've got clarity, but you don't have power, then, you're sitting in meditation all day long, understanding where you want to be in a transcendental and metaphysical state without actually getting anything done, right? If you are authentic and you're working, but you don't have clarity, then you're a freaking hamster running around all over the place, a squirrel just bouncing from one tree to another, climbing all the way up, forgetting where you left your nuts in the first place, right? You've got to be authentic, you have to be clear, and then you have to have power in what you do. Now, that power comes from, there are certain types of powers. The power starts with thoughts. Let me see if I remember exactly this, because I want to do Jesse justice. So it starts with thoughts, because there are power in your thoughts. There is, the waves, thoughts create more, and our brains create more with our thoughts than we have any real imagination of. Those thoughts lead to words. There is power in words, but without the force of emotions and actions behind it, it doesn't mean anything. So power comes from, again, thoughts, words, emotions, and then finally actions. The more that you put into those with your authentic and true self, the more you're going to be able to achieve. And then we get to clarity. Now, if you've been on any of my calls for more than one call, there's a very good chance, there's a high probability you've heard me talk about clarity. When Steve was on, we talked about clarity. When Gay Hendricks was on, we talked about clarity. Everybody talks about clarity. And surprise, surprise, a handful of people this weekend talked about clarity, knowing what you want. And this goes way beyond financial freedom. And this goes way beyond success. But not just clarity on what you want, but clarity on what you do, and clarity on, the message that you have, and understanding that it's not just this destination. It's not just a transactional thing. It is the result that comes because of that clarity, right? It's not just the numbers involved in what you want to achieve, because the numbers are cold. Numbers don't give you warmth. Numbers don't have emotion attached to them. Numbers don't excite you. Numbers don't get you out of bed in the morning. He pointed out something interesting. The root of numbers is numb. The more all you do is think about numbers, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to become numb to what they really mean. And so when we talk about clarity, it's not just that $100,000 goal or the $5,000 goal or the $1 million goal or whatever in the hell your goal is. It's clarity about what that represents, what it means, and what happens in your life. What changes? Well, and if you get that, then what changes? And if you get that, how soon are things going to change? And you've got to recognize what that means for you. Every single month, I look at where my numbers are consistently. I look at my numbers daily. I look at what I'm spending. I look at what I'm investing. I look at where I'm putting my money. I look at what growth is going on. I look at the number of leads that are coming in. Look at how many sales I've got. I look at different projects that I'm working on that could possibly bring in more numbers. I look at numbers all the time. But the reason I do that is because I know what the end numbers represent and what that number is going to allow me to do, not just where I get to travel or what I get to eat, but the fact that my oldest is going to be 18 next month, and there's college and all of this stuff coming up. I've got girls that are going to, I've got 3 different girls that at some point are going to want to have a wedding, and I'm going to be responsible for that. I've got a mom who's getting older, and if any of the kids are going to be able to help at all in any way when she gets to that point that she needs some financial help, That's going to be me. I know what every single one of those things represents. It's not just a number. And a lot of you guys have a number. A lot of you guys have what it represents, but you haven't figured out the number. A lot of you guys have a number, but you haven't figured out what it represents. And there's a disconnect. So you're still not clear. And if you're not clear and you've got, you're being authentic and you've got your power, now you're the squirrel. If you're authentic and you're clear, but you're not putting any power into anything, well, then you might as well be preaching to somebody, without trying to do any work, right? And you're essentially a charity that doesn't ask for any contributions. You're not doing anything. You've got to affect change in that sweet spot. I think it was David that said that. So action, power, and clarity. That's what you guys need to search for. That's what you have to find. That's what you have to do, is take some action. Guys, I'm going to get more in depth on all sorts of different trainings that I got. Does that make sense? ACP, action, clarity, power. Hopefully you guys think a little bit about that. Think about where you're at. Think about what you need to do. If you haven't figured out who you are yet, then you need to do that. If you haven't been willing to put any power behind your words and actions, then damn it, it's time to do that. If you need to become clear, then it's time to think a little bit more. Now, over the course of the next few weeks, this year still, I'm going to have some cool guests on. I promise you that. I am going to consistently work for others to get other people on to talk about all sorts of different topics. If you think of topics that you would like to hear about, you would like to learn about, then please message me and let me know. There will be books. There will be authors with those books. I plan on bringing some of them on. If you want to write a book, there was someone there that talked about that. I'll talk to you about what that process looks like. But at the same time, guys, you've got a lot in your hands that you just need to start with. So right now, some of you are in the midst of a continual challenge, just like I am. I've been had some interesting conversations in the last couple of days, dropping and doing push-ups in the back of the room while other people are standing there, and just say, hey, I got to get it done. But hopefully you guys are being consistent with your challenges and what you need to do, and making things happen. I'm excited. I'm, back with you guys after 2 days off. I will be back home this evening. So I'll be back in my office tomorrow. We'll have at least one guest this next week, and then we'll have others following up. But if you've got other topics, please let me know. I love you guys. Go out. Have an awesome day. We will talk soon. Take care, everybody. Have a good one.
Sometimes people have what it takes, but they haven't recognized it yet. Just go forward. So what do you need to do? How do you stand out? So what you need to do is be that person that's different and is bigger than you think. Rise from the ashes and fly like the phoenixes that you are.